Hey everyone, welcome to Frosting Your Gravy. Hello to all of our frosting lovers and gravy fans. This afternoon, my family is enjoying this nutritious and delicious soup that I grew up eating when I was a child, not in the United States, and it's called Shoorpah. It's a soup made of chickpeas or garbanzo beans and beef and a whole lot of vegetables. And one of the distinct things about this soup is that your vegetables are cut into large chunks. Nothing is cubed small here. And the soup is based on a beef broth. I will show you how I make it. It's a slow cooked broth and it's full of nutrients and tastes really good. I encourage you all to give it a go. And please tell us in the comments if you cook this soup, what feedback you got from your family, if your loved ones enjoyed it too. And as always, I hope you guys have a wonderful day and enjoy. For the Shoorpah soup, we need to begin with a good piece of meat. Whatever meat you choose is a big factor in flavor of your final delicious Shoorpah. So the key is you need to pick a piece that has a bone, ideally, for an amazing slow cooked broth. Unfortunately, I did not get a hold of a piece with a bone. And the second key is you need to have a piece of meat with good chunk of fat. And I did get lucky in fat because look at that. That thickness right there, that's a really good fatty piece, which gives me hope. Today we're going to have a very good delicious Shoorpah. And I washed it out really well. And now I'm going to fill my pot with water. This is an 8-quart pot. You could use a 6-quart pot also. I prefer a lot of broth in my soup, so I'm using an 8-quart. And I'm going to fill it up with water, 3/4 full. I'm going to, on high heat, bring it to a boil. I'm going to kind of keep coming and checking, because as soon as it comes to a boiling point, like I see a lot of bubbles, it's actively boiling, I will reduce the heat and I will semi-close the lid. Like I need to leave ventilation holes for the steam to escape, and I will slow cook the broth for 1 hour. When your goal is to make delicious broth, you will slow cook your broth for hour and a half on very low heat. And my pot with a piece of meat came to a boil. It was boiling rapidly, so I turned the heat down to very low. And this cooked for about 10 minutes. As you can see, this foamy stuff collected on the top. What we need to do is use a slotted spoon and over the edge push it all to one side, collect it and remove it. And right here too. And slowly I will go around and remove all of this and discard it. Cover again, but not super tight, and keep cooking. And about 2 more times throughout the cooking, it will come and collect this foamy stuff on the top of the pot. Well, and since Shoorpah is a garbanzo bean soup, also called chickpeas, let's talk about how to prepare our chickpeas. And I have a 1-pound bag of garbanzo beans, and whatever brand you use, I have a Walmart brand. You need to read the instructions on the back that tell you how to pre-soak them. I followed the directions on the back of mine and I soaked them overnight. Here they are. That stuff, the foamy stuff on the top, is normal after the overnight soak. I'm about to rinse it off and start boiling them. So the directions on my bag says that after they've been pre-soaked, to fill up the pot with 6 cups of hot water for a pound of these beans, drained and rinsed, and cook them with a lid tilted on low simmer about 1.5 to 2 hours. This is absolutely perfect because the meat I will also cook for 1.5 hours. So while my meat is slowly boiling, so will be my chickpeas, so that they're done at the same time. And while our chickpeas is boiling and our meat is slowly cooking, let's prepare the vegetables. So for my shoorpah, we will need 5 large carrots. I don't have like very large carrots. I like only a couple are large, so I'm using about 7 medium carrots, or if you have like those very large ones for juicing, we'll need 5 of those. Also about 6 very large potatoes. Again, mine are medium to small, so I have about 9 of those. And 1 very large onion or 2 medium, and about half of a regular size cabbage head. About half of it will go into our pot, maybe 3/4. Just depends on how big your cooking pot is. Mine is an 8 quart, so I might use more than half of cabbage in mine. So the first step will be to peel all of the veggies that need to be peeled. And what separates shoorpah soup from others that I'm accustomed to cooking and eating from my culture, culture that I grew up in, is the size of the vegetables. It's a very distinct feature of shoorpah chickpea soup is the vegetables are cut into quite large pieces. They're not cubed. And at this point, the meat is done. It's cooked. It's been an hour and a half on really low heat. So are chickpeas, also done. Same cooking time on low. And the only vegetable that is chopped small for my chickpea soup is onions. Here's an onion all cut up, and judging by how much onion I got, I've determined that 1.5 of my onions was enough. I'm going to reserve this one for a different recipe. And it's time to add the onions to a simmering beef broth. And here is something that is absolutely worth mentioning to you, my lovely people, especially to you who are novice cooks. If you're just starting out learning how to properly cook, this tip might help you. Look how clear this broth is. I'm not sure if my camera can like pick up and show, but the broth is not murky. It's actually, well, this what you're seeing is the steam hitting my camera and fogging it up, making it look murky. It's not. It's a very clear broth, and that will make a very beautiful soup where all of your vegetables will be easy to see underneath the golden colored clear broth. And how we achieve that is slow cooking the meat. So the general rule is, if we want the meat to taste good, if we need delicious meat, if we're making a meal of a chunk of meat with veggies, and we need a flavorful meat, we fast cook the meat on high heat. On very high heat, meat will prepare fast, and it will keep all of its flavors. However, if we need to flavor the broth, if the goal is to have a delicious broth, not delicious meat, then we slow cook the meat on very, very low heat for hour and a half, and that way the meat will give out all of its delicious flavor into the broth. And that's the rule of thumb. So because I needed a good broth base for my soup, we slow cooked this 2.5 pound arm roast. Again, I apologize for the steam hitting the camera. So now I am going to add this chopped onion into the pot, and I will start the timer and cook the onion for 5 minutes. Next ingredient I will go into our soup is carrots. Let's cut them into large chunks. This is a small to medium-sized carrot, so I will simply cut it diagonally like this. When I mentioned we're gonna cut them into really large chunks, I really meant it. This is how they go in the soup. However, if a carrot is very large, let me grab one of the larger ones. So this is a large one, so I will cut diagonally up until about right here, and because of how thick it is, I will run a knife along the side right here longwise. I will cut it in half, and then I will keep slicing it diagonally into large chunks. And while the onion was cooking for 5 minutes, I sliced up this carrot. Let's add it to the pot and boil for 15 minutes. I've added the carrots, and I've increased the temperature to a medium heat, medium low, not medium high, so that it keeps simmering and comes to a light boil. We don't ever at any point when we cook our soup want it to actively boil. To me, that's absolutely ruining the soup. The secret to the most delicious soup you'll cook will be low cook, slow cook, simmering broth. No rapid boiling when it comes to cooking soups. So I'll set my 15-minute timer. Potatoes also need to be cut into large chunks. And here's what I do. I cut it in half lengthwise. And then each half I cut into 3. Like that, and that gives us big pieces of potato. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Next up, cabbage. I cut it in half, and now I'm going to remove this tough part. Right, this core was removed. Now I'm going to cut it in half. And each quarter I'm going to cut into 3 pieces. 1, 2, 3, like that. And that's the way to cut this other quarter. Here's our broth. We gave our carrots a head start since they are a tougher vegetable. And um, this is fat pieces of meat surfacing up. And our onions, and our broth is looking golden and clear see-through. So beautiful, so perfect, just like it should be. And now I'm going to add the cabbage to the broth, and I'll cook it for about 10-15 minutes, and I'll check the tenderness. It should be not completely cooked through, but softened up. Alright, my cabbage softened up. It cooked for about 10 to 12 minutes, and the reason why we don't need it to finish cooking completely is because we're about to add potatoes. And while potatoes are cooking, cabbage will finish cooking completely. Now that we've added potatoes, it's time to flavor up the vegetables and the broth, and I'm adding 2 bay leaves. They're kind of large bay leaves, so 2 is enough. If you have like the tiny ones, add 3. A few, I would say like half a teaspoon if you're measuring, peppercorns. I have this amazing blend of colorful peppercorns. Thank you, my love, for gifting me this amazing blend. I absolutely love using it. The aroma is unbelievable. This is such a precious gift. And I'm not measuring. I'm just adding to where it's like maybe 10 to 12 of them, or half a teaspoon. And also about half a teaspoon of turmeric. Again, I'm not really measuring with a teaspoon. I'm just adding to where I can eyeball it to be about half a teaspoon. That's it. And I'm going to stir it all together to allow for the peppercorns to blend well, and turmeric also. And salt I add a bit later, after about 15 more minutes, when the potatoes soften up and I add garbanzo beans here, then I add salt. So I'm going to leave it alone and cook this for about maybe 12-15 minutes until the potatoes are soft and cooked through. And now it's time to add 2 tablespoons of salt. And you may think that 2 tablespoons is too much, but also remember that this is a large 8-quart pot. Even if you're using a 6-quart pot, still that's a lot of broth, and we didn't salt the beans when we cooked them, so we definitely need 2 tablespoons of salt. And here's the deal, guys. I made a lot of broth and used a little bit more cabbage than called for in the recipe. Half a head, I used a little bit more, like maybe 3/4. I didn't leave any room to add the chickpeas, but that's okay. Here's my chickpeas. What I'm going to do is simple solution. I'll just, instead of mixing it all together in this pot, I will mix everything together in a serving bowl. I'm just trying to gently mix so the salt dissolves. And yeah, I'll be adding the beans to the bottom of the bowl, and then adding veggies and topping it off with this broth.